Hello and welcome back to Dwarf Fortress. A fortress which isn't really much of a fortress, but at least they're dwarves here. 7 of them, not many, but still. I'm having tons of fun, and all that I ask of you, other than you watching and hopefully having fun with me, is like the video. Because that would be super awesome and nice if you did, which I completely forgot previously. And yeah, so we should, I think, start doing the things which we need to do, which is play Dwarf Fortress. No, what we need to do, apart from playing, is getting started with digging out the crafting room and the bedrooms. Something I did sort of very loosely designate and sort of decided very quickly at the end of a previous episode where they're going to be. And I also set them up to be hotkeyed for my function keys so I can quickly go down to where they are. So where we are right now is F1 and F2 is the crafting room on elevation 30. And the bedrooms on F3 is on elevation 25. Not super far apart, and you might not even have noticed us moving 5 levels, but that is what we are going to do. Now, let's go back up here. What I will do is do this. This is going to be the crafting room. I have found this to be a good way of doing them. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the best way of doing it, but I found it to be at least good enough in the beginning. There are probably more efficient ways of doing it, but nonetheless, this is good enough. So that's going to be the crafting area. These long areas on the sides is where the crafting stations are going to be, and this blob in the middle in between here is basically a storage area. Let's go down to 25, and for these, I'm not sure exactly how I should be doing this, but no, let's remove that. Now, you don't want might sound awful, but you don't want to give them too much room. Only the ones that needs a big fancy room should have a big fancy room. And here is what I want to show. So we have I have this middle piece here. I also have set to be digging, so I have selected that we will be digging. And if you remember from the previous episode, I very briefly at the end, if you saw that, talked about in the settings and in game, keyboard cursor enabled. I have that enabled. If you want to do what I'm doing, you have to have that enabled. That's just how it is. And we go back out like so. And by using my arrow keys, I can move this cursor around. And I can designate by pressing enter. I can start and then get a designation going. Let's remove that. So what I want to do is I want to record a set of like rooms to when I press play to play this macro, basically to automatically make that room, so I don't have to draw it out for every single room, because you're probably going to have to make a lot of rooms in this manner, like very similar rooms and a lot of them. So to sort of save time, I want to make this, well, as automated as possible. So by pressing Control P or Control, what is it? R. Right, Control R. It is now recording. As you can see on the top left, the rec is flashing. It is now recording. So if I make sure I have my mouse, like the keyboard cursor, where it should be before clicking Control R, and then enter to start designation. I move the cursor with the arrow keys and press enter to start designation. Enter again. Enter, enter, move, and enter. That's what I want to be designated. Like, that's the whole macro. What I do now is Control R. And now, this is really important. I have to move the cursor to the starting point of where the macro should start playing. And Control P. And it played it. So it played that macro I recorded. And here we go. So I can do this now. And boom. It is automatically just making all of that. And I can draw that out and voila. And I can do this again, like here, like so, and just continue expanding in this manner. But you don't need to do this, but it is very convenient. That was actually one too close. So it's over there. Whoops. This is why it's so important to it's very important to make sure you have the cursor, the correct cursor in the correct spot. So I will designate as much of this as possible, and I will also show you that I can't really use the same macro as I used on the other side. I need to actually make a new one. So let's make sure we 1, 2, 3, so it's there. So once again, Control R to start recording, and do the same thing again. And that's done. Control R, because I'm done recording. And what you have to do then is make sure you place your cursor at the correct spot, and Control P. Boom. And there we go. Let's do this so we actually have something to measure from. And we will do this. I will make sure to stop everything of this to be actually diggable. I don't want everything to be dug out immediately, because that's going to take way too much time. And we don't need this many bedrooms immediately. At some point we will need them, but not now. Like so. Remove this. Like that. And there we go. So there you have why that is important and how you use it. You don't have to use it, but it's very, very convenient, especially if you're planning a large, especially bedrooms. It's very easy to, but you could just sit with your mouse and draw them out one by one. But if you making a macro like this is pretty easy and it saves a lot of time. But you do need to be a bit careful so you don't mess up. And while you're doing all of that, I suggest having the game paused, because it's very easy to make a mistake otherwise. So let's go down here again, make sure that you see that's 5, that's 10. I actually only need one of these. I don't need this way, because I have them designated but cut off so you can't actually get to them. It means that I don't need to worry about anything. I just, okay, I needed a bit more, and I can make sure they can get to it, and then so it's nice to have, nice for it to be like this. And this crafting area will be required to be as it is, basically. And I might need to make another one fairly immediately. But it's just how it is. It's and I might actually set the designation for where the workstations are going to be, and the way around here to be slightly higher. That way, there is a higher chance for that to be done. I think what I should be doing is actually set these on a 1. But this whole room gets done first. The dwarves can be a bit random at what they do, so if you need to do something like I did, where you say, okay, finish this room, then you might have to do that, because dwarves are somewhat random in what they do, because they goes around the whole what is closest, like what is close first with the same priority level. So, what I need is in here, carpenter. Let's select just in case we don't use any like weird materials. This is very important to select the material, not so much now in the beginning, but when you start getting like metal and have iron bars and copper bars and stuff, and you don't want them to be used for like flooring or stuff, you have to go in and specify what material you use, because all of a sudden you're making your floor or whatever it is you're making out of iron bars, which is very wasteful. But let's see, I need 1 of something, so let's take the mudstone, workshop, and stoneworker. Let's make that out of mudstone, workshop, and I need mechanic. Those 3 are probably what you'd want to make first. You're probably going to need at least 1 of everything in the beginning. Some you might actually want 2 of. But that should be good enough for now. There we go. What? Resume. Sometimes construction for certain things that already has everything gets suspended. And that's what happened with the stoneworkers workshop here. For some reason, it got suspended, and what you need to do is basically click on it and resume construction. So that might happen sometimes where there isn't actually a problem, but for some reason it got suspended, and you have to manually resume construction of it. So, what I want to do now, in the previous episode, we assigned the expedition leader as the manager. And what we want to do is go into work orders and click on this to create a new work order. Which brings us to this mess of a list. But if we go down to Carpenter Workshop And we have bed. Now in this up here, we can search. Now I don't really care for that, but it's just so you know, you can search. If you know what something is called, you can search for it. Which makes it a lot easier. For example, if you don't know which workstation it's used in or made in, you can just go for all tasks and then start searching for like bed or something like that. And then you get up that, and there you go. But we need beds. Now, as the work order is right now, it has 10 beds queued up. So it will queue up and craft 10 beds. Now, I don't want that. Like, yes, I want that, but I want it to be continuous. If I place more beds, I don't want to have to go back into the work orders and set up a new queuing order for more beds. I don't want to have to manually go and do that. So, on this green symbol, which I don't know what to call, we can click on that and set conditions. And you can click on the clock and such over here to actually manually set them. But if you look at the bottom here, suggested conditions automatically has these sort of, this is probably what you want and what you're looking for. So we can go in, and amount of beds available is less than 10. Yes, that's what I want, but what I want to restrict this a bit. Amount of beds available is less than 10. That is good as it is. So if we right click, we go back out, and then we can click on the minus to restrict how many beds we queue up each time. I'm going to set it to 5. This is important because I don't want my dwarves to be bogged down making way more beds than is actually needed. Like, I mean, if we take a look at this, it's like as soon as you get to 9, it queues up 10 beds. 10 beds takes a fair amount of time to make. 5 is half of that. It's still a fair chunk of time to make 5 beds, but it's way better than making 10. So that is something to take into consideration, and very often you might actually not want to make more than just one at a time until it's above what the requirement to satisfy this to start crafting. So, but I'm going to keep it at 5. That is what we want. And if we click on this, we can create a new one. Carpenter. This is also really important. We want to make barrels. Let's bring this down to 2. If I have less than 5, make 2. And another one for bins. Bins is probably the only way for you to store a lot. Keep that in mind. Every item has to be carried one at a time. The only way to carry more of that item is through bins. So bins are really important, but we need to bring that down to 2 bins at a time. And if there is less than 5 empty bins, make 2. Bucket. That is actually going to be one at a time, and if it's less than 5, cabinet, wheelbarrow. That's the one I want. Make one at a time if there is less than 5. And we have one last thing to do, and it is the stoneworkers workshop. And we will make a rock hatch cover. Bring that down to 9. I have that. I will not have a continuous automated for that. I just want 9, and that is to cover up on the top at the entrance. So that's why we do that. And make rock blocks. Make 10 if less, and then we can click on that number symbol or hashtag symbol, depending on which generation you're from, and say less. No, 200 is too much at this point. No, 100 is also. So let's say 50. Enter to set that and make 10 blocks at a time. Yep, that's good enough. And we should make rock table. And that should be 5 at a time. There is less than 10. Okay, that's actually good enough. Rock throne. Depending on what the material is, what it's called might be different. Like the wood stuff is called, I think, stone. Not stone. Chair or stool. Yeah, I think it's chair. Whereas the stone one is called throne, but it's the same thing. So if you're having issues finding like certain things, it's because they are named differently because of the material. But yeah, so to make that, let's bring that to 5. Less than 10, that's good enough. Let's go back in, and what I want to make as well is rock door. If less than 10, I think that's that is good enough. That is basically the automation in the early beginning. And what we need to do now is basically let the dwarves work and do things. And what they will do is bring the resources needed for the various crafts. Things are queued up, and the dwarves will start going in and working, as we can see. They are here crafting a bed, and over here they're making a rock hatch cover. They still don't have any beds, so poor English here is sleeping on the rock floor. Unconscious. That's a way of calling sleeping, I suppose. So we do need to we do need to get the sleeping quarters going fairly quickly, but we are getting there. Like, slowly but surely, we are getting there. And I think that it's a bit slow in the beginning because unless you did prepare carefully and did you choose your dwarves yourself, you only have one digger that actually has any skill and such. So it is a bit slow in the beginning, but yeah, we are slowly but surely carving out this crafting room, and then we will move down to here and dig out this area for sleeping quarters. So I think for now we will have the game paused and see sort of what kind of thing we come across and do. I have my fingers crossed that I don't come across a cavern just yet, but at some point we probably will, and at some point we probably want to go out and seek it out and actually on purpose find it, because the caverns do have a few things you might need, but they're also like full of awful things. Even though I have enemies and like the most dangerous stuff turned off, it's still not safe. So yeah, we'll see what we can find and what we get up to. But on screen you should now be able to see YouTube recommendation, quick access to subscribe button, and quick access to the playlist for this series. So with that, me and my dwarves will see you next time. So for now, thanks for watching, goodbye, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.